From our studios at the corner of 8th and Walton in Bentonville, Arkansas, welcome to Saturday Morning Meeting, brought to you in part by Dun & Bradstreet Credibility Corporation. Saturday Morning Meeting covers Walmart, Sam's Club, and the consumer product companies that are represented on the racks and shelves throughout the country and around the world. I'm Derek Ridenauer. Our focus is on the insights, trends, and best practices to help you as a supplier grow your business with the world's largest retailer. Thank you for joining us. And coming up today, we're going to be covering the NRF, the National Retail Federation, with Vic Miles of Microsoft and Bill Akins of Rockfish. And reviewing this week's top stories with me are Ken Simpson from Clorox and Harry Ganapathy of Dun & Bradstreet Credibility Corp. But first, the headlines. Associated Press reports that the National Labor Relations Board has filed formal charges against Walmart. The charges claim that Walmart violated labor laws when it took disciplinary action against store associates who worked with Our Walmart, a labor-backed activist group. The Labor Board had been trying to reach a settlement with Walmart over the case, but those efforts have apparently failed. A Walmart spokesperson says that the retailer's actions were justified. Retailing Today reports that Sam's Club has hired Jamie Ione, former president of digital products at Barnes & Noble, as president and CEO of SamsClub.com. Ione will report to Neil Ashe, president and CEO of Global E-commerce. Analysts believe the hire spells good things for Walmart's e-commerce division. Walmart China's compliance head has been transferred back to the United States. According to Bloomberg, Rob Chester served as chief compliance officer for Walmart China, but was transferred back to the U.S. soon after media reports about the tainted meat began to surface. A Walmart spokesperson denies that Chester's return to the States has anything to do with the Chinese scandal, noting that the transfer has been in the works for months. Alaska's fisheries are optimistic about their future as Walmart suppliers. The Juneau Empire reports that Walmart is willing to assess Alaska's own seafood certification program to determine if it is comparable to the Marine Stewardship Council's program. Foreign-owned multi-brand supermarkets may have difficulty operating in Delhi, according to a recent story on 4traders.com. Officials in India's capital have announced that they will not issue licenses to foreign supermarkets, a decision that jeopardizes the implementation of foreign direct investment, or FDI, in the region. Recent elections resulted in an anti-FDI party taking power in the region, leaving the future of foreign retailers in doubt. Prepared food manufacturers are stepping up to the challenge to reduce calories in their products, according to a recent Associated Press story. In 2010, 16 food companies, including Kraft, General Mills, and Coca-Cola, pledged to find ways to reduce calories in their products. A study by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation shows that manufacturers are succeeding, often by reducing portion sizes or developing low-calorie versions of popular snack foods. So far, food companies have cut 6.4 trillion calories from their products. Check out Walmart and supplier news as is reported on WalmartNewsNow.com. And we're joined now by our panel, Ken Simpson from Clorox and Harry Ganapathy from Dun & Bradstreet Credibility Corp. Welcome, guys. Harry, brand new, your first time here. Let's talk. I'm going to do a little quick introduction of you. Tell people about yourself and your title with Dun & Bradstreet.
So I'm Vice President of Business Development for Dun & Bradstreet Credibility Corp. We work with suppliers and a lot of small businesses to help them understand their business credit ratings and scores, and how they impact the ability to sell goods through big box retailers like Walmart. Okay.
Very good. And of course, you're with Clorox. I think everybody knows about Clorox. I want to start off, as we're talking about headlines, the labor issue that really became a big deal late this week with Walmart, and the Fed has decided they're going to go ahead and file a formal complaint. Now, let's talk a little bit about that. Ken, I want to start with you because this seems like a big deal. As I understand it, it's not so much.
Well, I guess it's a big deal because the government tried to give some time from the complaints from the Walmart employees to resolve it, but it hasn't been resolved. So now the government's going to move forward. But you know, to me on this issue, the thing that, as I read about it, what I'm wondering is, did these people, were they supposed to be at work, and then did they miss work to protest? That's kind of what it sounds like to me. And then Walmart saying, hey, this is an issue. Like, you got to come to work, and if you don't come to work, right, then there's going to be a problem. And I think any employer, if your people don't show up, yeah, it's going to be a performance issue if you don't show up when you're supposed to.
Right. I think we have to find out the facts of why the 19 employees were let go. We don't know yet whether it was just them exercising their right to free speech and it was a scheduled day off and they went to go protest, and so then vindictive action was taken, or is it simply the fact that they were supposed to be at work and it's an absenteeism issue?
Which certainly becomes something that should be reprimanded if it's job abandonment. Now, they take vacation day. But having come from Walmart, I don't pretend to speak for Walmart on this, but Black Friday is obviously the biggest day of the year, and typically it was always all hands on deck that you had to be there because that's when all of your customers are coming in. So if that's what it is, job abandonment, then I think we have a problem, or it's going to be a tough case to prove. The other thing that I think is going to be interesting to see, and I don't know which states these were, but obviously in right to work states, there's probably not much of a leg to stand on because they can be let go for any reason.
Not much of a leg to stand on for the people that are protesting, and yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, I'd had a chance to talk with someone from the labor, or used to be on the labor team there this week, and complaints of this nature happen all the time. Anybody can go into the NLB.org website and file a complaint against any other company. So I think Walmart's always fending these off. We'll see what happens, and I think it will be interesting to see what happens as this plays out. Any predictions?
My prediction is nothing major will happen in a negative way for Walmart.
Okay.
Outside of potentially a lot of bad press as the investigation's continuing and they start to get interviews with the employees and some of the information comes out.
Okay, so we'll let this all play out. We'll see what happens. The next thing that was kind of a big story this week, Sam's Club is moving to hire, they did hire former Barnes & Noble director executive that's going to come over and help with the e-commerce. The other good thing, I guess, if you're looking from Walmart.com, they're actually beginning to merge the Sam's Club online and the Walmart.com and kind of pull those together, which historically they have not. Impact on this?
Well, it's interesting. Prior to Barnes & Noble's, he had spent 7 years at eBay, and so part of that growth story. So this could be a way that they're starting to certainly relocate the unit and take advantage of the e-commerce talent that's there in Northern California, and it doubles down on their bet to compete with Amazon for initiatives like same-day delivery, which has to be fueled by
When I first
e-commerce.
read this story, I looked at it and kind of looked at where Barnes & Noble has been recently. They're on the verge of bankruptcy. Nook sales are down considerably. And I kind of questioned, and I haven't read the guy's information. I'm not trying to put him down at all, but I questioned, was this a good move? Because Barnes & Noble's continued to lose, especially with the Nick, continued to lose market share as it competes with Amazon. And now you're bringing him over to Walmart, who the gap between Walmart.com and Amazon continues to get a little wider. Ken, your take?
My take on this is that this is another example of where Walmart's making even a stronger commitment to e-commerce. The fact that they're bringing this guy in, the fact that they're going to now integrate the Sams.com with their California.com business, I think are more indication that they're taking this very seriously. I do have a little question about what you mentioned about, because Nook, I think the sales were down 60% versus holiday season last year, and Barnes & Noble didn't have a good Nook season. I think this guy's coming from that area, but hopefully that's good learning for him that he can help Walmart with.
Okay, and then he was at eBay, so I mean he's got a good track record. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out as things get consolidated, and I think consolidating with Sam's and Walmart.com certainly is a good move to have some consistency in terms of the background applications that are running, and hopefully it'll be a better feel and fit for consumers as they log online to do some of the shopping. Okay, we've got about a minute left, and real quick I want to touch on the India story that was out this week. Delhi is kind of limiting the big chain grocery stores or grocery stores at all. Harry, you have roots in India. Let's talk a little bit about that.
It's a country that it's entrenched in the culture that it's small businesses, small shops, locally owned and operated. My grandfather's brother owned a coffee shop his whole life. I used to grow up sitting there watching every morning everybody coming by, but that's where they get their vegetables, their groceries. Everything is at small, independent, locally owned. It's so politically so entrenched in the culture that it's very difficult for them to sort of break that mold and allow these big franchises and large retailers to come in.
Can you truffle?
It's such an interesting situation because it's such a huge retail market. I think it's the fifth largest retail market in the world. I think Walmart made the right decision to get out of their JV and to concentrate on the cash and carry business where they can own 100% of that business. And now all these political issues, I think it's a good decision that they made.
All right, guys, thank you very much. We're out of time for this segment, but stay tuned because when we come back, we're going to hear from Vic Miles from Microsoft and Bill Akins as Saturday Morning Meeting continues.
GigWalk is an on-demand mobile workforce that can collect data and do work at retail. Businesses use GigWalk for retail audits, merchandising, and much more. With 350,000 smartphone-enabled workers available on demand, you get unprecedented speed and coverage across the U.S., Canada, and the UK. And all work is reviewed for quality and accuracy. Visit gigwalk.com to learn more.
Bentonville Plaza, across the street from the Walmart home office, the best office location for businesses working with the world's largest retailer. Bentonville Plaza offers proximity and services like no other business complex in the area, including custom designed suites and an on-site fitness center and restaurant. Pre-leasing opportunities are currently available for new construction. Call 479-200-1112 today.
You know, the biggest challenge of working with Walmart is they really expect everyone on the team to know their language, know their terminology, and know exactly how they do business. So that's where Ethan Walton really comes into play. You know, it's the fastest way to get my team members up to speed.
Their business model is suppliers teaching suppliers. So when you come to Ethan Walton, you can count on having very experienced trainers who understand how suppliers work within Walmart, and they take advantage of that and incorporate that into their curriculum.
Everyone visualizes how amazing it would be to be an Olympian.
It's the kind of thing you've dreamed about your entire life.
When the Olympics come around, anything can happen.
You try to go as big as you can.
You have to be inspired, you have to be motivated.
I'm going to be ready to go for Sochi.
I am so excited to be headed to the 2014 Sochi Olympic Winter Games, bringing you exclusive coverage and representing Northwest Arkansas. It all begins February 6th right here on KNWA.
When the weather changes, your life changes.
And that's why we're always tracking and monitoring the weather, and when it does get bad, we'll let you know about it, protecting the people that you care about. Northwest Arkansas's weather can change in a moment's notice, so when it does become severe, we'll be on air and online with your family's safety as our #1 priority.
Dan Scoff, Gina DeVecchio, and Clint Boone, the meteorologists of the Northwest Arkansas Weather Authority, proudly serving Northwest Arkansas.
And welcome back to Saturday Morning Meeting. We are joined now by Vic Miles. He is the Director of Retail Strategy for Microsoft, and Vic has been in New York City all of this week, which is where he is today, and he's been attending the National Retail Federation show, which is really a big show for retailers as well as suppliers. Vic, thanks for taking the time to join us today. Wanted to get really into inventory management and supply chain and talk a little bit about some of the applications and things that you saw while you were at the show that can really help suppliers better manage their inventory as well as retailers.
Yeah, Derek, thanks for having me. So, you know, the National Retail Federation, or NRF, you know, each year we hold a big show in New York City, and I have the opportunity to attend, and we see solutions for retail, whether it be customer service or, as you say, inventory management, and it's a terrific sort of immersion into retail. And so managing inventory is one thing that there was a lot of talk this year about it not being a one-size-fits-all topic, and how retailers and brand companies manage this really depends largely on how much volume they have for an item, and then how large their stores are and how much access a consumer needs to an item. And so managing inventory is how much do I keep on the sales floor, what's the flow like coming in the back room. And so clothing merchandise, apparel, does present a real challenge for retailers with the different colors and sizes that we see. And I saw a really innovative display at the show. And for instance, Kohl's department store was showing how they're testing a concept called a connected fitting room. And this fitting room actually allows products with radio frequency identification tags, or RFID, that technology that Walmart helped pioneer many years ago. But it allows the products to alert the fitting room that you go into of which product you brought into the room. And so if you need a different color or size, you can interact with a system inside the room to alert the sales associate to bring you that different color or size, and so you don't need to wait and stand at the door or anything like that, or get dressed and go back out. And the really unique part about this is that I think retailers may be able to use this to keep less stock on the sales floor, and maybe move some of that merchandise that you have to keep sort of show ready and folded and neat on the sales floor, move that to a non-selling location so that they could then bring it to the customer. And so it may be a win-win for both the retailer, the customer, and then the brand being able to get the right products out there.
Well, apparel has always been an opportunity for retailers as well as suppliers, because you have such huge markdowns because it's fashionable. So it sounds like that would be a really good solution for Walmart and other retailers as well, to minimize their markdowns on seasonal items such as apparel. I want to move on because that's very interesting. What about cost, and how does that roll into that?
I think that cost, probably one of the largest costs of dealing with apparel merchandise anyway is the labor, the people effort that it takes to keep apparel what I call show ready. And so being able to reduce that cost and getting the consumer involved in being able to tell you which products they want, and then allowing the sales associate to go select those products, I think that's going to help reduce costs. Certainly there'll be some cost of implementing technology like this, but part of the testing process will be to actually see if we can drive down the cost as an industry as the adoption goes up.
Let's talk about meeting some of those shoppers' needs. What kind of technology did you see this week that's really going to help kind of customers interact with retailers and with different brands?
It's funny you ask about technology, and I would say there's a real switch from talking about whether retail brands are talking to their shoppers, their consumers, on their mobile phone, on their television, to trying to understand what gives them a magical experience as a shopper. And sometimes that's technology, sometimes that is improving products and that sort of thing. And there's a company called Face Cake that is doing some truly magical experiences where they allow a shopper to see what she will look like in a wedding gown or another piece of apparel. And not only that, but to see what accessories go with that item. Like real time, to place the product on the customer, and then add the accessories as they go. So you might have a purse or a scarf or something like that. And one of the more compelling demonstrations that I've seen is with facial makeovers. And again, it's truly magical when you sit down for 30 seconds, get a picture of your face, much like you're seeing of me right now, and then being able to have the computer apply shades of makeup to that person, and then them to see what they would look like. And I really think that will level the playing field for the discount merchants out there who need to compete, in a strong competitive market in this cosmetic space, so that they can offer the same kind of experience with technology as some of the cosmetic suppliers provide, with having an in-store cosmetic technician who will sit with you for 30 minutes and give you sort of a mini makeover. So I thought that was pretty compelling.
All right, Vic, thank you very much. We are out of time. We do appreciate you taking the time to join us. Stay tuned, because when we come back, we're going to visit with Bill Akins from Rockfish and find out what he has some new gadgets that he wants to show us from the show. That's all coming up when we continue with Saturday Morning Meeting.
At 906 in Bentonville, do you know where your reps are? You could, and you should. Introducing MV Retail, the smart device-driven, dashboard-providing, you need to know the truth, and you need to know it now, team management system. Visit us online to learn more, because in the world of retail, wondering is bad, but knowing is good.
At Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art, we can help your business meetings get out of the box. Way out of the box. With refreshing views of the museum's 120-acre grounds, breathtaking architecture, spacious meeting and presentation venues, and top-notch catering from 11, our award-winning restaurant, not to mention more than 400 works of art by American masters. Your meeting at Crystal Bridges will be anything but in the box. Call us today and let our team of professional event planners arrange your next meeting at Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art.
2014 Sochi Olympics begin February 6th here on KNWA. Don't miss a minute of our exclusive coverage as I travel to Russia to bring you the Olympics.
If you notice, we're called the Razorback Nation. Razorback Nation. We eat, drink, and breathe Razorback.
Aaron Peters, Alyssa Orange, Chris Fry, and Mike Irwin. If it's Razorback sports, you're gonna find it here.
Nobody covers the Hogs like we do. The Razorback Nation.
Your one source for Razorback sports. It's the state's largest sports team, the Razorback Nation.
Stay tuned to KNWA because I'm headed to Sochi for the 2014 Olympic Winter Games. You won't want to miss any of our exclusive coverage from Russia. It all starts right here on KNWA February 6th.
And welcome back to Saturday Morning Meeting, joined now by Bill Akins. He's the Senior Vice President of Client Services at Rockfish and someone who just got back from NRF,
yes,
National Retail Federation meeting.
Just flew back today.
So we talked to Vic in the last segment, but from your takeaways, what are the big things that you saw at the NRF meeting?
I think what was so great about the show this year is that there was so much optimism. I mean, here we are as a country coming out of a recession, even globally, and the fact that CIOs and CEOs of retail are now coming to that realization that in an omni-channel world of digital, online, and brick and mortar, they can all coexist. And one necessarily doesn't have to be siloed in the other. And so instead of the online world echoing what was happening in store, it's now almost the vice versa piece. So a lot of optimism, very, very positive show.
Which is certainly good news for Walmart because they are brick and mortar and online, whereas Amazon simply online. So some key takeaways, quotes and things that you wanted to really share?
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting to me as well is that it happened only a few days after the Consumer Electronics Show out in Las Vegas. And so here you have the largest display of tech happening across the world and literally across the country. And yet at the National Retail Federation Show, a lot of the same things were being talked about at length. Things like wearables, wearable technologies, things like the Internet of Everything, where you have smart devices, a refrigerator that can order milk for you, a dryer that can tweet you when it's done. And then of course, the pink elephant in the room was data security. While nobody necessarily mentioned retailers by name, that was certainly a topic that was discussed at length. And so, the big theme, this overarching piece of context and personalization. So, consumer packaged goods companies, retailers, they want that one-on-one relationship with the consumer. And so, as we've been in the information age, the age of digital, we're now shifting into what's called the age of context, where it's give it to me, make it relevant, give it to me now and give it to me quickly as an end consumer.
Which is kind of different from historically what we've always seen from CPG companies or companies overall, where they want to market and do the mass communication. They're going to run their Super Bowl ads where they're going to target everybody. We saw a fragmentation of that going into social media, and now we're going even more fragmented, is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think gone are the days of create once and publish everywhere. I mean, one of the first key quotes that I heard over the 3 days was that people don't go shopping anymore. They're always shopping. And so when you think about it from a contextual and relevancy standpoint, how do you get that messaging into that consumer's mind, not only at the last mile when you're at the shelf, but now it's literally like the last millisecond. A lot of conversations around mobile being the lead off. If you've ever heard of the concept of responsive design, it's all about being device agnostic now. The data stored up in the cloud, you're not necessarily designing solely for an individual manufacturer's device on a phone. Is that it needs to be seen on a phone, on a tablet, and it needs to adapt and it needs to respond based upon that contact.
And you brought some little gadgets that you picked up there. Let's talk about these.
Yeah, I think probably one of the biggest buzzwords of the very first day were beacons. And so this is something that it's become the buzzword in that whole framework of context of being able to send a message to a mobile device through short range via Bluetooth or very just
short Wi-Fi.
Short Wi-Fi. That allows a contextual message to actually be brought into a mobile device. So
and I will point out, some retailers are now using these. I know that Giant Foods and Safeway this last week announced that they're moving to this device to really help companies sell more and to help consumers be better educated on the products that they're buying?
Well, I mean, when you look at it from just a cost standpoint, you're no longer having to go in and build this entire Wi-Fi infrastructure within a very, very large concrete walled structure of the typical brick and mortar. Right. Now the message can be controlled on a much more smaller range. And again, I think this is a huge opportunity for consumer packaged goods companies, category managers who can actually help tailor that message to that individual consumer.
So what are some things that this is going to help CPG companies push out to consumers?
So, I mean, obviously from a range of promotional offerings, potential adjacency type products, that's going to be a big piece.
So you're buying this tablet, don't forget your car charger, don't forget these other things.
Well, again, yeah, that was something on, I think it was at the CIO roundtable, that this concept of showrooming, of being able to, of brick and mortar being afraid that people were just using them as basically display areas, but actually going and then buying online. Again, that's not a bad word anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have to leave it there. Bill, thank you very much, and we will be right back with Saturday Morning Meeting.
All right. New TV.
Hi, TV.
Did he just say hi to the TV?
Uh-huh.
Wait, is this Hulu from the computer Hulu?
It's Hulu Plus.
This looks cool.
Which one of you yahoos put our TV on the curb? Oh, hello. What are we watching? Bathing monkeys. No, those are macaques. Get out of my seat. Looks relaxing.
TV has never been better. This is Smart TV from Samsung.
I would recommend 8th and Walton to other suppliers because from my experience talking to other suppliers, they were even learning new ideas or just new and better business practices.
Most people have little time for training, and so 8th and Walton is a perfect opportunity to send your new employees to understand the retailing system. And again, because trainers were suppliers, they know the how and the why, so they become very valuable very quickly.
Everyone visualizes how amazing it would be to be an Olympian.
It's the kind of thing you've dreamed about your entire life.
When the Olympics come around, anything can happen.
You try to go as big as you can.
You have to be inspired, you have to be motivated.
I'm going to be ready to go for Sochi.
I am so excited to be headed to the 2014 Sochi Olympic Winter Games, bringing you exclusive coverage and representing Northwest Arkansas. It all begins February 6th right here on KNWA.
When the weather changes, your life changes.
And that's why we're always tracking and monitoring the weather, and when it does get bad, we'll let you know about it, protecting the people that you care about. Northwest Arkansas's weather can change in a moment's notice, so when it does become severe, we'll be on air and online with your family's safety as our #1 priority.
Dan Scoff, Gina DeVecchio, and Clint Boone, the meteorologists of the Northwest Arkansas Weather Authority, proudly serving Northwest Arkansas.
If you notice, we're called the Razorback Nation. Razorback Nation. We eat, drink, and breathe Razorbacks.
Aaron Peters, Alyssa Orange, Chris Fry, and Mike Irwin. If it's Razorback sports, you're gonna find it here.
Nobody covers the hogs like we do. The Razorback Nation.
Your one source for Razorback sports. It's the state's largest sports team, the Razorback Nation.
Our thanks to Vic Miles and Bill Akins for joining us today, and also thank you for taking the time to join us. We'd love to hear your questions, comments, or suggestions. Email us. And be sure to join us next week as we sit down with Fernando Salido. He's the Vice President of IRI. We're going to get some insight to the trends that suppliers and retailers should be aware of this coming year. I'm Derek Ridenauer, and from all of us at Saturday Morning Meeting, thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next Saturday morning.